Finance Committee, August 12th, 2024.
Call the Finance Committee meeting to order at 5:24 p.m. Members present are Mr. James Me, Mr. Christopher Moritz, Ms. Vicki DeShawn, and myself, Chair. This is a special council meeting, or special committee meeting. Is there any public participation in regards to the items that are on the agenda for this evening?
Selling of the North End Fire Station. The last committee, Public Lands and Buildings, they wanted to put a reserve on it of 2/3 of what the appraised value was, which would be of the highest appraised value, which the highest appraised value was like $275,000. 2/3 of that would be somewhere in the 180-ish. I kind of feel like that's too low.
Well, if I could tack onto that, I'm sitting out in the audience during that, and I'm wondering why they went with 2/3. Why not go with the appraised value if that's what it's worth?
Well, the real estate, yeah, and the real estate market right now is things are selling high, especially commercial.
Yeah. And then if there's only one person interested, it's that's great. If there's more though, then it's a moot point. But
If you had to rebuild that station again today, you'd probably be close to the 2 million mark, I'm guessing.
easily, but I also think that, the gentleman who's interested in it for sure would not build that shape and size of a structure for his intended purpose either. So there's that. Does this, and I don't know the question, so I guess I'll ask between Ms. Lewis and the administration and anybody, does this committee have to agree to that number, or can we change that number? I would like to have seen the minimum bid be what the appraisal was, whether we went with the higher, the lower, or split them down the middle, which I think is what you were trying to.
That's what I was trying to do, was trying to get it split down the middle.
Math is hard, I understand.
Just me as a not elected, nothing, just me as a citizen, I would feel like that property selling at $180,000, if that was the minimum bid, would be too low. I would feel like my tax money just got wasted if it sold that low. If it's gonna sell that low, I'm gonna try to get in on it myself.
I would rather keep it than sell it for that price, but Mr. Shaw, I'd like to hear your thoughts on the matter. You usually go last, but I'm going first with you tonight, I'll go backwards.
I have to agree with your thought that we take the two, add them together, divide them in half, and that's the figure that we take as the minimum, correct?
That's what I would like to see. Mr. Moritz.
Instead of just go for the highest one, just split them in half, come with the number in the middle.
Split them in half,
Are
that's
those
what
two?
Mr. Shaw just
Right.
described?
That's fine with me too.
That's perfect.
Okay. I think that's what this committee would like to see.
And just stating that the two appraisals, one was 275, one was 250. Just so it's in the minutes.
One was $275 and the other was $250,000.
Yeah.
$275,000 and $250,000.
So is that 262.5?
Yeah, something like that. So I would say, to make it easy, we could go at, 260-ish. So I'll entertain a motion from this committee to set the minimum bid price at whatever dollar amount you want to throw out, knowing that it's in the neighborhood of 260 to 262 for the minimum. I think Mr. Mee's using his calculator.
Yeah, no, it's just,
Yes, sir.
I'll wait till he gets done doing the figures on that.
262.5 is right down the middle. And that's fine too. We don't need to round anything if that's what you want to do.
You want to round it off at 250? Just to give somebody some edge to it.
That's going with the lowest one, if that's the case.
60, yeah.
No? Okay. Go ahead, Chris, make a motion.
Seeking a motion.
I'll seek a motion to, for a bid to sell it at 260.
260 even?
260 even.
I have a motion on the floor to set the sale price, or the low bid price, I should say, at $260,000 even. Do I hear a second?
Second.
First by Mr. Moritz and a second by Mr. Me. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, the same.
Well, I'm going to say nay,
Okay.
only because and correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that we all agreed that we were going to take the high and the low, add them together and split them in half.
I can amend it then and then do the 262.5.
And I realize we're only talking $2,500 difference, but hey, $2,500 is.
Can I amend the motion to make?
We haven't, well, we just voted, so I think proper procedure, somebody can make a motion to override the previous vote that we just had. I don't think you can amend it at this point since it's been voted
I
on.
can't override the motion because I made
I
it.
believe you can make another motion, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to override the other motion I just made to make it 260, 260,
So for clarity, Mr. Moritz, you are making a motion to disregard the previous motion and vote that this committee just took.
Right.
And your new motion is to set the price at $262,500 as a minimum
Yes,
opening
as a minimum
bid.
bid, yes.
Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. That carries unanimously. Are we good on that one, in your opinion? Okay. The selling of the city-owned lots by Wendy's, and there are two separate parcels there. The first question, and did you guys decide, are you selling them together or just two separate ones? The two by Wendy's, the one behind Wendy's and the one that's people think's an alley right next to are actually two different parcels. And I potentially believe that you'd have two separate interested parties.
I literally said it's 3 different properties. That
Right.
was the whole, not understanding that it was 3 properties. But, so, last I knew, I said each of the properties, and that's what they had said in their motion. But I'd also asked them to come up with the numbers because I figured it was there. So,
Well, I believe, following what we just did, this committee could probably do the same thing for the other two parcels if there's no real objection.
I don't have an objection to it.
Are you pulling the numbers, Mrs. DeShawn?
I'm looking at you.
Or Tommy, do you have them handy?
Here
Or
we
Bruce?
go.
What my question is the properties behind Wendy's, I think there's 4 separate lots, but they would be considered as one unit.
There's 4 parcels there?
4 parcels there.
Okay.
If
Yeah, I would
if
agree
you go
that's-
to the drawing by Mr. Katona, it will actually show, there's a picture of the lots and the lot numbers and such.
A lot of paper here. So bear with us. Okay.
Very last one.
Is there 4 lots or maybe 5 lots there?
1, 2, 3, 4 lots.
It
4.
looks like 3
No.
because the one then to the far north is the other one. So looks like the ones ending in, they're too small to read. They're 40 feet wide by 46 and 44 feet long. Yeah, there are 3 of them. So yeah, let's talk about those first. Those would be the ones, if you're trying to acclimate yourself, behind Wendy's, between Wendy's and Paisanello's. So there are 3 half parcels there that would be combined in one sale. And looking for, do you have, Vicki, the appraisal on those?
Well,
Or did he combine them?
looking here at this appraisal, can I mention?
Yeah, I think it's public record who did the appraisal.
The Gardrick Realty appraisal is for 4 separate parcels.
They combined the whole.
They combined the
Yeah,
whole
they put the
thing.
whole for 80,000. Now, on Katona's appraisal, there is a separate appraisal for the City of Bucyrus parking lot south of Clady's Wallpaper and Paint. That's 30,000 to 50,000. And then we have an appraisal for the City of Bucyrus parking lot behind Wendy's Restaurant, and that's also 30,000 to 50,000.
Well, since they're the only ones that separated them, I think it would be unfair to try to figure out what the Garbrick folks intended by putting them together. Still gives us a fair market value of the whole kit and caboodle. So you got a number of between 30 and 50, and If we split that down the middle, I believe my math says that equals 40.
Wait a minute, let me get a count.
Get the
I didn't,
calculator.
yes, sir.
Okay, I'm looking at the parcel numbers on the auditor's website. There's 4 unique parcel numbers. There's the long one that's, everybody thinks the alley there
Yep.
north of Wendy's, and there's 3 little smaller ones to the west of Wendy's. This appraisal, it appears there's only 2 parcel IDs listed on this appraisal, on both these appraisals. The difference is the last, 4th to the last digit is 7 on the one, and
7, 9, and 4 maybe, or 6?
6 on the other. Okay, Garbrick's appraisal has all 4 listed. From the Katona appraisal, it appears, just kind of from the verbiage on the appraisal, that they thought maybe selling the one to the north as its own, and then those 3 smaller ones as,
I think that's where we're
As
headed with that,
one.
yeah. I think
So
that's exactly the
you're gonna
page we're on.
need to make that clear, though, in the minutes, like, which way you want to go here on selling the parcels off.
Yeah, I think that's where we're headed with that. So as Mr. Fankhauser mentioned, we're talking about the 3 right now, where the 4th to the last digit was a 7, a 6, and a 9. I cannot read those. If anybody wants to rattle those off for the record, I can't see them.
999897. This one? 999897.
No. It looks like it would start with the 080014
99, yeah.
797 maybe?
Yeah, right.
080014 796 000?
Yes.
And 0800 14 799 000.
And I think that other's 98, not 96.
It's 98.
That would make sense if they're all in line, but
I'll show you.
This one's 6.
I need an eye doctor's appointment.
They're all the same except the 4. There's 9,000, 8,000, 7,000, and
Okay.
6,000.
So the 3 we're talking about, I'll rattle them off again. 08-00-14797-000. And then 08-00-14798-000. And 08-00-14799. So those 3 parcels we're talking about, which lie behind Wendy's, between Wendy's and Paisanello's. So I will entertain a motion to set a minimum bid price for those 3 parcels listed as one complete sale together. We're not selling them separately.
I'd like to make a motion to sell those 3 as one parcel. Minimum bid of, I think, $4,000
40 was in the middle of
$40,000.
those, yes. Is that as an emergency, sir?
as an emergency.
So I have a motion on the floor to sell the 3 parcels that I just previously read for a minimum opening bid of $40,000. Do I have a second?
Second.
First by Mr. Moritz, second by Mr. Me. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. All right, now, we have the other piece, which is what people would consider to be an alley. It is to the north of Wendy's and the south of Clady's wallpaper and flooring. Mr. Fankhauser, could you read off that number if you have it in front of you?
It's 0800-14796-000.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and that one actually was bigger on my page. I could have done it, but thank you. So, I'll entertain a motion to set a reserve price on that parcel.
I believe we're going to the same amount, right, 40?
If that's your motion, sir?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Minimum bid of-
So your motion is,
Minimum bid of $40,000 for that parcel of land.
Also as an emergency?
Also as emergency.
So I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Moritz for parcel 08-00-14796-000 for a minimum bid price of $40,000. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Moritz and a second by Mr. Me. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. All right, those three are taken care of. It is my belief, please correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Lewis, this committee doesn't need to do anything yet with the OPWC until it's awarded.
I don't believe so.
In my head, there's no money yet,
Yeah.
and we would deal with where to put the money and then what to do with the money
Right.
when there is money. Okay, good luck. One of the things I did want to bring up with you guys is when the Public Lands and Buildings Committee discussed their desire to purchase real property, I don't believe they made that as a emergency motion. And so that would necessitate that legislation that they requested being prepared as regular legislation. I just want to publicly state that when that comes up for its first reading at our next council meeting, I will make a motion from the council floor to move that forward as emergency legislation and take a vote on it at that time so that we can move along that process because of the nature of the real estate deal. So now, from this committee, it's not on our agenda. Are you needing anything from this committee on money for that at this time?
It hasn't been referred specifically, so we're gonna
We
put
can-
it off, and then we should be to the point where at least I can run it through as pending legislation.
Okay, so we're okay until our next council meeting?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, is there any public participation for anything that is on tonight's agenda? If so, come to the podium.
Clarissa Slater, 3645 State Route 4. I was just listening to Mr. Moritz's motion. When he amended it, he also didn't say it as an emergency. It's something that can be
I
done.
believe I repeated it, that it was as emergency, however.
The second time, or the first time, I'm sorry. The second time, the
I believe I did
Wendy's.
both times. We're welcome to go back and
Okay,
listen.
I just want to make sure that that wasn't missed, that's all. That's it.
Suggestions from you?
Pardon?
Suggestions from you, if, I don't know until we go back and listen to the,
Well, I guess, could we do the same thing if it's prepared as regular? If you did
It
not
was missed, yeah.
ask for emergency,
Perfect.
then it's prepared as regular, we'll do.
perfect for me. And I
What we're
figure
gonna do.
you'll check that out? All right, I appreciate that, thank you. Any other public participation for items on tonight's agenda? Anything else from you, Mr. Me? No. Mr. Moritz?
I'm good.
Mrs. DeShawn? We are adjourned at 5:42 PM.